Ladies and gentlemen, God has a way of dealing with those who rise up against you. When you walk in purpose, when you align yourself with His will, you will face opposition. It is inevitable. But let me tell you something. Opposition is a sign that you are making an impact. People do not talk about those who are going nowhere. They do not fight against those who are insignificant. The attacks, the false accusations, the slander, these are confirmations that you are a threat to the kingdom of darkness. When you are doing what God has called you to do, there will always be voices trying to discourage you, to discredit you, to tear you down. But understand this, God does not need your help to silence them. He is your defender, He is your shield. You do not have to respond, you do not have to fight back, and you do not have to justify yourself. The moment you step into unnecessary battles, you remove yourself from the place where God can fight for you. Throughout history, we have seen how God handles those who rise against His people. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den because of the schemes of wicked men, he did not argue. He did not beg for his life. He stood firm in his faith, and God shut the mouths of the lions. But watch this. The same men who plotted against him were later devoured by the same lions they tried to use against him. What does that tell you? The trap they set for you will be the trap that destroys them. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army behind them, they were outnumbered and trapped. But God told Moses, "Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord." And what happened? God made a way where there was no way. The same sea that opened for His people closed over their enemies. God does not just deliver you, He makes sure your enemies are silenced permanently. Opposition is inevitable when you are walking in your divine purpose. The moment you decide to rise above mediocrity, to pursue what God has placed in your heart, there will be resistance. It comes in different forms. People who doubt you, those who criticize you, and those who try to block what God is doing in your life. But opposition is not a sign of failure, it is a sign that you are making an impact. Every great leader, every person who has ever done something significant has faced opposition. Look at the life of Joseph. His own brothers opposed him because of the vision God gave him. They hated him not because he had done anything wrong, but because of the favor of God on his life. They threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery, and tried to destroy his destiny. But here's the truth. Opposition cannot stop what God has ordained. What they meant for evil, God turned for good. Opposition will come in many ways. Sometimes it comes in the form of people who speak against you, people who misunderstand you, or those who try to sabotage your progress. But you must remember, your battle is not against people. The enemy works through people to discourage you, to make you question your calling, to make you doubt whether you are truly on the right path. That is why you must stay focused and not allow opposition to shake you. David faced opposition from the moment he was anointed. His own family did not believe in him. When the prophet Samuel came to anoint the next king of Israel, David was not even considered worthy to be in the room. His father left him in the field tending sheep. But God does not call people based on human opinion. He calls based on purpose. And when David finally stepped into his calling, opposition did not stop. Goliath mocked him. Saul tried to kill him. But what God had placed on David's life was unstoppable. You must understand that opposition is part of the process. If you are facing resistance, it means you are going somewhere. The enemy does not attack people who are doing nothing. He attacks those who are carrying something valuable. A thief does not break into an empty house. He only goes where there is treasure. The fact that you are facing opposition is evidence that there is something inside you that the enemy fears. Sometimes opposition comes right before your breakthrough. The enemy will fight hardest when he knows you are about to step into a new season. This is why you cannot afford to give up. Many people walk away from their destiny because they let opposition discourage them. But those who endure Those who stand firm will see the promises of God come to pass. The key to overcoming opposition is to keep your eyes on the assignment, not on the distractions. The enemy wants you to be distracted by the negativity, by the critics, by the obstacles, but do not give him that power. Stay focused, keep building, keep working, keep believing. God does not remove opposition, he uses it. He allows challenges to strengthen you, to refine you, and to prepare you for what is coming. Do not despise opposition. Instead, recognize it as a confirmation that you are on the right path. Stay in faith, because in due time, the same people who doubted you will witness the manifestation of God's plan in your life. God is your defender. When people rise up against you, when they speak lies about you, when they try to bring you down, you do not have to fight back in your own strength. The battle is not yours. It belongs to God. He is your protector, your shield, your strong tower. When you trust him, he will defend you in ways that no human effort ever could. Too often, people feel the need to justify themselves when they are falsely accused. They want to explain, to argue, to prove their innocence. But the truth is, you do not have to respond to every accusation. You do not have to lower yourself to the level of those who seek to destroy you. Your greatest defense is silence and trust in God. He sees everything. He hears every word spoken against you. And when the time is right, he will step in and fight on your behalf. Look at the story of Moses. When the Israelites were trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army, they were afraid. They felt defenseless. But Moses told them, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. And what happened? God parted the Red Sea, made a way where there was no way, and drowned the enemy that pursued them. That is how God defends his people. He does not just protect them. He makes sure their enemies are silenced permanently. There are times in life when you will feel surrounded. You may feel like people are against you, that no one believes in you, that you are being attacked from every direction. But God is watching. He does not let injustice go unanswered. He does not allow his children to be defeated by the plans of the enemy. Even when it seems like the wicked are winning, they will not prevail. God is always in control. Daniel experienced this when he was thrown into the lion's den. His enemies plotted against him because they were jealous of his favor with the king. They could not find any fault in him, so they created a trap to destroy him. But Daniel did not fight back. He did not argue or try to defend himself. He trusted God. And what did God do? He shut the mouths of the lions. He protected Daniel in the very place where his enemies thought he would be destroyed. And in the end, those same enemies were thrown into the den and devoured. The principle is clear. When God is your defender, your enemies will not succeed. They may try to harm you, but their own schemes will be their downfall. You do not have to take revenge. You do not have to fight in the flesh. Your only responsibility is to stay faithful, to stay focused, and to let God handle the rest. Sometimes the attack against you is meant to distract you. The enemy wants you to be consumed with fighting battles that are not yours. He wants you to waste time defending yourself instead of moving forward in your purpose. But you must remember, God sees it all. He knows the truth. And when the time is right, he will clear your name. He will restore what was lost, and he will silence those who tried to bring you down. Trust in him. Stand firm in his promises. Do not be shaken by the words of men, because the only voice that matters is the voice of God. He is your refuge, your protector, and your defender. When you put your trust in him, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Purpose is the foundation of your existence. You were not created by accident. You were designed with a divine assignment. When you walk in purpose, you walk in power. But understand this, your purpose will always attract opposition. The moment you discover why you were created, the enemy will do everything in his power to stop you. He will send distractions, create obstacles, and use people to discourage you. But you must remain focused. Your purpose is too valuable to be abandoned because of temporary opposition. Look at the life of Nehemiah. When God gave him the vision to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, Opposition arose immediately. Sanballat and Tobiah mocked him, criticized him, and tried to intimidate him. But Nehemiah did not stop. He kept working. He kept building. He understood that the work God gave him was too important to be delayed by the opinions of men. And because he remained focused on his purpose, the walls were rebuilt in record time. That is the secret to overcoming opposition, staying focused on your assignment. When you know why you are here, when you understand your purpose, nothing can move you. People may talk about you, they may try to discredit you, they may even attempt to block your progress, but their efforts will fail. The only way the enemy can stop you is if he convinces you to quit. That is why he sends discouragement. He wants you to believe that your purpose is too hard, that the resistance is too strong, that you are not qualified. But the fact that you are facing opposition is proof that you are carrying something valuable. Joseph's brothers hated him because of his purpose. They saw the favor of God on his life and they were jealous. They threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery, and tried to erase his destiny. But purpose cannot be destroyed, even in a foreign land, even in a prison cell. Joseph's purpose was still alive, and in God's perfect timing, he was elevated to the highest position in Egypt. The same brothers who tried to destroy him had to come to him for help. That is what happens when you remain faithful to your purpose. God turns the attacks of your enemies into stepping stones for your destiny. Purpose is not about comfort. It is not about having an easy life. It is about fulfilling the reason you were created. And that means there will be challenges, there will be trials, and there will be enemies, but do not be discouraged. Every great person in history faced opposition. Moses faced Pharaoh, David faced Goliath, Jesus himself faced the cross, but none of them allowed opposition to stop them. They kept moving forward because they understood that their purpose was greater than their pain. If you are facing resistance, if people are speaking against you, if doors seem to be closing, do not give up. Opposition is a sign that you are on the right path. The enemy does not fight those who are doing nothing. He only fights those who are a threat to his kingdom. That is why you must keep pressing forward, keep building, keep growing, keep trusting God. Purpose is what gives your life meaning. It is what separates you from the rest. When you are walking in purpose, you do not have time to focus on what people are saying. You do not have time to respond to every critic. Your energy must be directed toward fulfilling your assignment. The more you focus on your purpose, the less the voices of opposition will matter. God has placed something great inside of you. Do not let distractions pull you away from it. Stay committed, stay faithful, and keep moving forward. God is your defender. When people rise against you, when they speak lies and spread rumors, you do not need to fight in your own strength. The battle is not yours, it belongs to God. He is the one who sees what is done in secret, who hears every whisper, and who knows the intentions of every heart. And when the time is right, he will silence those who speak against you. One of the greatest traps in life is the need to defend yourself against every false accusation. When people slander you, when they misunderstand you, when they twist your words and your actions, the natural reaction is to respond, to explain, to prove your innocence. But the truth is, you do not need to justify yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you. You do not have to fight battles that God has already promised to handle. Your greatest weapon is not your words. It is your silence and trust in God. Look at the example of David. He was anointed as king, but Saul saw him as a threat. Saul pursued him, lied about him, and tried to destroy him. David had opportunities to take revenge, to fight back, to prove himself, but he chose to let God handle it. He refused to harm Saul because he knew that God was his defender. And in the end, Saul's own choices led to his downfall, while David was elevated to the throne. That is how God works. He does not need you to fight your enemies. He needs you to stay faithful. He needs you to trust him. He needs you to keep your eyes on the assignment he has given you. If you are constantly responding to every critic, you will waste time that should be spent fulfilling your purpose. Think about Jesus. He was falsely accused, mocked, and even sentenced to death. But he did not defend himself before his accusers. He knew the truth. He knew that God's purpose was greater than the lies of men, and because he remained focused, he fulfilled his assignment, and his enemies were silenced by the power of his resurrection. The same is true for you. When people rise against you, when they spread lies, when they try to destroy your reputation, do not waste your energy fighting them. Let God fight for you. Let him handle those who plot against you. The truth will always come to light, and God will make sure that no weapon formed against you prospers. Sometimes God allows opposition to come not to destroy you, but to elevate you. The very people who try to bring you down will be the ones who witness God lifting you up. The lies they spread will only serve as a testimony of God's faithfulness in your life. Do not be discouraged by the voices of opposition. Their words do not define you. Their opinions do not determine your destiny. Only God has the final say. Trust in him. Hold your peace. Keep your focus. There is a greater work to be done, and you cannot afford to be distracted by those who do not understand your purpose. When God is your defender, you do not have to seek revenge. You do not have to prove yourself. Just stay faithful, and in time, God will silence every voice that speaks against you. When people rise against you, when they spread lies and speak against you, do not be troubled. God is your defender, and he will silence every voice that stands against you. The enemy knows that words have power. He knows that accusations, slander, and gossip can weaken your spirit if you allow them to. But you must understand that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not even the weapon of false words. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is trying to fight battles that are not yours. When people speak against you, your first instinct might be to defend yourself, to explain, or to fight back. But the truth is, you do not need to prove anything to anyone. When God has called you, when he has given you an assignment, you must stay focused. Your energy should not be wasted on defending yourself before those who are determined to misunderstand you. Look at the story of Moses. When the Israelites complained against him, when they doubted his leadership and spoke against him, he did not argue with them. He turned to God. And every time, God proved that Moses was chosen. The same is true in your life. When people question your calling, when they try to bring you down with their words, let God handle it. You do not have to fight battles that God has already promised to win on your behalf. The enemy uses people's words as a tool to discourage you. He wants you to be distracted, to feel defeated, and to lose confidence in your purpose. But you must not allow his schemes to work. The more people talk, the more you should focus. The more they try to pull you down, the higher you should rise in faith. Their words do not determine your destiny. God does. Joseph was spoken against by his own brothers. They despised him because of the favor on his life. They spread lies. They sold him into slavery, and they thought they had destroyed his future. But they did not realize that every attack was only pushing him closer to his destiny. What they meant for evil, God turned for good. In the end, Joseph was elevated to a position of power, and the very people who spoke against him had to come to him for help. This is how God works. He takes the words spoken against you and turns them into a testimony. The same people who doubt you now will one day witness God's favor in your life. But you must remain steadfast. You must keep your eyes on God and refuse to be moved by the opinions of others. Jesus himself faced opposition. The religious leaders spoke against him, mocked him, and accused him falsely. But he did not waste time defending himself. He knew his purpose, and he knew that God would have the final say. And in the end, his resurrection silenced every critic. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is working in your life. That means no accusation, no gossip, and no attack can stop what God has planned for you. If people are speaking against you, take it as a sign that you are walking in purpose. The enemy does not fight those who are doing nothing. He fights those who are a threat to his kingdom. So do not be discouraged. Stand firm, stay faithful, and watch as God silences every voice that rises against you. When people speak against you, when they try to tarnish your name, you must remember one thing. God hears every word, and he will silence them in his perfect time. You do not have to waste your energy trying to defend yourself before those who have already made up their minds. The more you try to explain yourself, the more they twist your words. But when God steps in, he does not argue, he silences. Many times the enemy uses words as weapons. Lies, slander, and false accusations can feel like arrows aimed at your heart. But here is the truth. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. It does not say the weapons will not form. It does not say people will not rise against you. It simply means that whatever they plot, it will not succeed. Their words will fall to the ground because God himself will fight for you. David understood this. Throughout his life, people spoke against him. Saul tried to destroy his name. His own son Absalom turned against him. His enemies mocked him, ridiculed him, and spread falsehoods. But David never wasted time defending himself. Instead, he took refuge in God. And in every situation, God vindicated him. Those who plotted against David fell by their own schemes, and God exalted him at the right time. That is how God works. He is not just watching, he is actively working behind the scenes. When people rise against you, they think they are in control. They believe their words will shape your future. But they forget that God is the one who holds your destiny. He alone determines your elevation. And he alone will silence those who try to stand in your way. Look at Joseph. His own brothers spoke against him. They despised him, hated his dreams, and even went so far as to sell him into slavery. They thought they had silenced him forever. But what they did not realize was that God was orchestrating something greater. Every lie, every betrayal, and every attack was leading Joseph to his destiny. And in the end, the very people who spoke against him had to bow before him. This is why you must not waste time worrying about who is against you. It does not matter what they say. It matters what God says. And God has already declared that you are more than a conqueror. He has already promised that he will make your enemies your footstool. He has already assured you that no accusation will stand against you. Even Jesus faced opposition. The Pharisees constantly tried to trap him with their words. They slandered him, accused him falsely, and sought to destroy his reputation. But Jesus never fought back with arguments. He remained silent before his accusers, knowing that his Father would have the final say. And in the end, the very ones who mocked him were silenced by his resurrection. You must walk in that same confidence. Do not waste time responding to every critic. Do not lower yourself to fight battles that God has already won. Stay focused, keep moving forward. The more they talk, the more God will elevate you. The more they plot, the more he will bless you. And when the time is right, God himself will silence every voice that has spoken against you. When people speak against you, when they spread lies, when they try to destroy your reputation, remember this. God is watching. He hears every word spoken in secret. He sees every plan formed against you, and he is not silent. God is not only your protector, he is your defender. You do not have to fight with words, argue with people, or seek revenge. God will silence those who speak against you, and when he does, no one will be able to rise against his judgment. One of the greatest tactics of the enemy is to use words as weapons. He knows that words can break a person's spirit. False accusations, gossip, and slander have the power to shake your confidence and distract you from your purpose, if you let them. But you must refuse to be moved by the opinions of men. Your identity is not in what people say. Your identity is in what God has already declared over you. The Bible is filled with examples of people who were spoken against, but were ultimately vindicated by God. Look at Daniel. He was a man of excellence, favored by God, yet his enemies could not stand him. They created lies, manipulated the king, and tried to have him destroyed. But Daniel did not defend himself. he remained faithful to God. And what happened? The same mouths that accused him were silenced when God rescued him from the lion's den. His enemies were exposed, and Daniel was elevated to a higher position. This is the pattern of God's justice. He does not just protect you, he makes sure that those who rise against you are silenced. He takes what was meant for your harm and turns it into a testimony. But in order for this to happen, you must remain still. You must trust him completely. David also faced countless people who spoke against him. Saul hated him, his own son betrayed him, and his enemies tried to destroy him with their words. But David did not fight back with anger. Instead, he trusted in God's timing. In Psalm 31:18, he prayed, "Let their lying lips be silenced, for with pride and contempt they speak arrogantly against the righteous." And that is exactly what happened. Those who plotted against David were eventually brought to shame, and God fulfilled his promise to make David king. You may be going through a season where people are trying to destroy your name. They may be spreading rumors, attacking your character, and working against you in secret. But do not be afraid. Do not waste your time trying to prove yourself. Let God be the one to prove who you are. When he speaks, every other voice must be silent. Even Jesus faced opposition. He was ridiculed, mocked, and falsely accused. But he never defended himself before men. He entrusted himself to the Father. And because of that, every voice that spoke against him was silenced. The same people who mocked him had to witness his resurrection. His victory was undeniable. That is what God will do for you. When people try to bring you down, he will raise you up. When they try to silence you, he will make sure your voice is heard. The lies they tell today will not stand tomorrow. The weapons formed against you will not prosper. And when God moves on your behalf, those who spoke against you will be left speechless. Stay in faith. Keep your focus on your assignment. You do not need to fight in your own strength. God himself will silence those who have spoken against you. And when he does, his justice will be final. Many times the people speaking against you do not even realize they are setting themselves up for judgment. They think they are attacking you, but in reality, they are fighting against God's assignment on your life. That is the battle they cannot win. Do not waste your energy trying to correct every lie spoken about you. Do not lower yourself to the level of your critics. Keep moving forward. Keep doing what God has called you to do. The voices against you will fade, and the only voice that will remain is the voice of God declaring his favor over your life.